I'm CEO of To Be Forest, and José is our GIS coordinator in To Be Forest. I want to thank you a lot for this opportunity to speak a little bit of our work here in Portugal. Let me see if it's working. We are
Susanna, your mic is, you turn off your mic.
Okay, now, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are, as I'm saying, we are a small enterprise, a consultancy enterprise in forest certification. We create, we have two groups for certification, one for forest owners and the other for small contractors, and work all over Portugal. We have 4 offices in Portugal: Lisbon, one in the south, another, and 2 in the center, and also have partnerships with other forest associations or consultancy enterprise to help them and their clients to get the forests certified. We also were the first entity enterprise that get forest certification ecosystem services in Portugal for biodiversity, carbon, and tourism. We also was the first entity in Iberia to get a project of architectural project that was FSC certified, also because we used only products came from FSC Forests. That's our office in Lisbon that have only products, and wood and cork came from our forests. We have a big team, 30 people all around the country, and do a lot of training for workers, for forest owners, and we have a lot of field work to get better and more active forest management. For that, we create ForestSIM to help us to manage all these. That's a little bit of our history. Let me see. Well, I imagine you know a little bit, or don't know a lot of forests in Portugal, but we have a lot of challenges. To see, more than a third of the country are forests. Mainly species are eucalyptus, pinus, and quercus. Quercus suber, that give us the cork oak and oak. This is very associated to agroforestry systems, and the others more for production areas. And we have another natural species like quercus and castanha, a lot of other species, but the productive ones are mainly those species. To see, this is the main challenge we have. Most of the area, around 90% of the area, are private. The state owns a very small portion of the territory, and we have to work with several, more than 400 million forest owners that have in our territory. This is something completely out of the picture in Europe or in the world. It's very very typically that give us, for us and the state, how can we engage the forest owners to do the best practice and comply with the regulations and laws and so on. So another challenge is in Portugal, only in these green areas, the state have the limits of the properties. In the north, the properties are very small and the forest owners don't have the limits of it. The states are develop some projects to implement that to collect this information for the state for legal, but mainly we don't have the limits of the properties and the forest owners don't have the limits of the properties. And for us, the certification, this is crucial. One forest owner only can get to the group if they have the limits. So it's highly cost for us to collect all this information and to know where the properties is and confirm this is property belongs really to that forest owner. So this is a big challenge all for certification, but for manage all the country, it's mainly the big challenge we have here in Portugal. To see, this is our forest certification group, FSC. In the green are the municipalities where we have some areas or some owners. The red ones are the properties that are certified. If you see, these numbers are already not updated. So we have around 800 forest owners in our group. You see in the north, that area up there, and to the south, we work all over the country. 800 forest owners and around 4,000 hectares, 40,000 hectares. Here in this table, you can see the dimension and the percentage of the forest, the area that belongs to our group, the dimension of the properties. And as you can see here, that is something very very difficult to work. We have 12% of our forest owners have less than 1 hectare of the property. The property has less than 1 hectare, and 39% of the forest owners have less than 5 hectares. So I think you can imagine what is to collect this information. Most of the times they don't have the limits. We have to go uphill and downhill and so on to collect the limits of this and to work with these people. Most of the times they are old people, and to put some manage on this. For production areas, we have some partnerships to help productive areas to manage. And we have a very good acceptance from the forest owners. We see they are very available to implement good practice for manage their areas. And this kind of support from industry is very important to get some active manage of this certified area. So the limits are crucial, but also the compliance with the law. We have to see it. So our technicals are also supporting the forest owners to help them to comply it, because sometimes they don't they don't know the legal restrictions or orientations they have to apply it. So ForestSIM as a strategy, indeed, as you imagine, collect information, all of this. In the beginning, we have Excel files and files shared between all these technicals or advisors, but it start to become inimaginable. It's impossible to manage that. So with the support of an industry, we create a ForestSIM, an online platform to manage all this information and collect, and also accessible to the forest owners, with the idea that we have to put in the market also the ForestSIM available to other entities that have certification groups. So nowadays, not only the To Be Forest team use it, but also other 5 entities that have certification groups use it also to manage their own certification groups for owners. So the platform can be assessed for entity that manage the group, that are us here, mainly in Lisbon. For the advisors in the field, they can collect the information directly in the field to the platform, and the forest owners can see it. We go to this project fair share. We won at time the opportunity to go to this project to help us to get some strategies to promote the forest owners to use online digital platforms. It's quite difficult. Most of the times they are quite old. And other times we try to go to the science, to the what else we are trying to get strategies for that. And this project Fair Share became very useful to get some ideas to it. So at the same time, these platforms help us to manage for ecosystem service certification that we get, and we can speak a little more late. So ForestSIM is a web system based. It's in the internet, the cloud-based architecture. All the information is cloud-based. Support various levels and types of access depending on the user profiles. Support QGIS data for cartographic information, and receive information to and from other web-based platforms, namely to calculate productivities for the stands. We go to a web platform from the university. We have the link to that, and go for the calculation of the productivity. They go to this kind of platform. So this is what we think that are the advantages, and we try to communicate it to the owners. They can have access to real-time information. They can produce their own maps. Most of the times the forest owners get that maps. They can print and go to the legal office to put these in that project that I told before, that the states are trying to get all the legal limits. They have planning and budget for 10 years in the platform. They can see it, and they have to approve it if they accept it, or they have or if they want to do some changes. And I think this is a cost reduction, because we spend less time to manage all this information, and so we can be less cost expensive for it. Right. If we have time, I can show you the platform working, but we have the one thing our advisors can limit and work directly the limits on the platform. This is down the kind of where we put the planning. We can put the costs and when the different activities and the years they will do it. And the table are the orientations for biodiversity, where they, in that month, they have to get more protected because they do the nests and the kids and so on. They have all this information also available in the platform. So ForestSIM allows advisors and agroforest owners to have access to information about the properties and plot limits. That is one thing. They have forms for the operational control of the planned forest activities with health and work safety rules, and to collect all these legal requirements on this kind of area. Have cartographic editing tools, maps generated by ForestSIM with legal restriction areas, productivity of forest stands with models associated with two models of productivities, management orientation for biodiversity linked to layers of Natura 2000, calculation of biomass and carbon sequestered in the forest, also collect and monitoring information from ecosystem services, and have a management plan with specific orientation for obtaining certification for ecosystem service. So we have everything there. And the forest owner can anywhere can see the information that we collect, and they have to. Sometimes we have some big forest owners, they do it themselves, the collection of information from the operations, from health and security, of the training. They do it themselves, but in 800 forest owners we have, probably 5 do it. So because they are big, they have more instruction and they can do it themselves. Ecosystem services as part of the sorry, let me see. Okay. Exactly. Is part of the strategy of manage the property. As you imagine the properties are so small that sometimes, most of the times, they are not profitable. So how can ensure that the forest owners do active management when these kind of issues stands? Most of the times, I don't have money, I can't do any management on this plot. So this is our goal, is to effectively demonstrate that it's possible to do it in partnership, of course, with some industry and other different strategies to get it. So for the productive areas, it's quite easy. Most of the forest owners came to these kind of initiatives. For the conservation areas, we have a lot of problems, because if in the productivity areas, we have a lot of problems to get the active management. So the conservation, it's worse. So this is kind of a problem to the certification. And in response to these difficulties, we go to the FSC ecosystem services that came 2019, I think. And the idea is to increase the income of the forest owners by valuing the environmental services associated with conservation areas. Because so the objective is reward good management of forests in Portugal through the certification of ecosystem services. So our strategy is certify the environmental services produced in forests, boast market alternative, and give visibility to the practice that promote responsible forest management. This is since we have ecosystem certification, we have working in this with this strategy. It's kind of our history. Our group began in 2017. We start to develop a project related to biodiversity with municipality level with Aroca, that is in the north of Portugal. And in the March of 2021, we obtained the ecosystem certification. Then we have a lot of activities delivering the certificate to the owners, rewarding the sponsors, giving some visibility, doing some activities related to these kind of issues. So this is what we have working on. To see, this is our areas. There are 3 areas certified for it. One is public, the major one is around 150 hectares. And the other 2 are small, one with 20 and another with a half hectare. We certified the sequestration of carbon on these areas, the biodiversity, because they are very important, because they are in 2000 network, and for tourism, because this is it's a very important region for tourism. They have a pathway, very beautiful, and they have a lot of tourists, and this kind of area has burned a lot of times, and we need to get some changes in the landscape to get more resistance. So the objective for this project is to aggregate owners of the neighborhood Piver River, that's the area, create a continuous zone of intervention with increased impacts and resilience of the territory to fires and pest and disease. So what we are trying to do is implement this kind of certification in the neighborhood of these areas and get more impact of this kind of mechanism in forest in that area. We also create a web GIS because the sponsors, all this information of ecosystem certification, I don't know if you are very aware how it works. All this information is available in FSC website, but when that gives some transparency to the process and more credibility to the sponsors to support it. But when we go to the meetings and say, oh, all these are available in the FSC website, they get there, I don't understand nothing of it. So we create a WebGIS, where with a small introduction, the list of the values that are there, more to help the communication and to see more easily what are the values that we collect there. I'm sorry, but
Susanna, your mic is off again.
I have some difficulties to pass the presentation, sorry. But this is the sponsors that were involved in this project. As I told before, it's quite the project is new. It's quite difficult to I don't say difficult, but challenge to communicate it. It's new for the forest owners. It have higher costs because of the methodologies of collecting the informations, more costs because of the audits, and it's difficult to, and have one thing that is the theory of change that forest owners have to implement to get more carbon or more biodiversity or more tourism, and sometimes this is involve more costs. So the forest owner, without the market insured, we can ensure that we have market for tons of carbon sequestrate or protect biodiversity. We can ensure that at this time. So all these over costs they have because of the collecting information, it's quite difficult to involve other forest owners. But I think we are good at the moment, and we have all these sponsors involved in this project, and we hope to have more. And also we are developing new methodologies, more easy and more cheap for collecting information, and with the same credibility for the sponsors. That is the very important issue. And also these sponsors came to the project because they have audits, they have some credibility to get to involve on this project. That's why it's a very interesting thing to go, and a new mechanism to get some money for areas that don't give any money because they are only public services they provide. So that's so this is some recognitions we have. And then we have here some information if you want to see. And we have a film. I don't know if you want to for me to pass, or you can get information and then explore a little bit more what the values on this area, and the sensitive of the forest owner that are certified is very interesting to see their testimony, because it's important to see how they see these kind of new mechanisms. So I think it's all. I don't know if you want to explore more, or I'm available, me and my colleague, to questions. I think, I don't know if it was very quickly or not.
Thank you very much, Susanna. That was really, really interesting. And I think Tom Houlihan from Chagas is going to lead the question. He's going to keep an eye on the questions. Just one question from me to start off. What sort of, is there a market for some of these ecosystem services in Portugal, particularly around tourism and carbon? What sort of market is there?
Yeah, it's creating the market. For 2 years, we go to several meetings with several enterprises that want to sponsorship, but it's a very confused ideas between carbon credits and FSC carbon certification. So this is most of the times they want to carbon credits, and they want to explain and to communicate, they compensate the emissions and so on. And FSC is not so related to that. And this came some misconfusion in the idea. But nowadays, even FSC Portugal has to do a lot of work explaining it, and we are getting more and more interest in this kind of mechanism. So we are exploring. Is not I can say that a big market. No, it's quite small for now, but I hope to get more people to involve on this, because most of the times these sponsors came in fairs, small regional fairs of local fairs, and they want to help the forests in that region. So they want to associate these kind of events to recover some forest in their region. So it's quite interesting to see this relation, and a lot of these kind of local events are looking for this certification for that, for to give them confidence. We are doing the good methodology, and they can support, and the people that goes to the events want to support their forest in the region. So it's I think it's a good way.
Thank you. Tom, I think you're on mute.
We are not hearing you.
Tom, you're mute.
There's something is not working with Tom.
You're still mute, Tom, for some reason.
I think Benjamin.
Yeah, while Tom is maybe sorting out some of the problems there, we'll move on. I see Benjamin has a question. Can you throw your question, please, Benjamin?
Yes. Thank you, Susanna, for your presentation. Just a question. Could you please give us some examples of activities for these ecosystem services, like in tourism, for biodiversity, for carbon? What are the actions that can be certified?
Yeah, in the forest.
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
And elsewhere, if you want.
Well, in the municipality area, they had eucalyptus, and they change for native species. So they convert the area from the production to conservation. And here we are talking about sequestration, carbon sequestration, and biodiversity, because they are restoring the area for natural species, for indigenous species. The other two, what they have to do is to promote local species, because they most of the times have eucalyptus areas, and they only do something in that area, but they are so old to see one of these areas already burned 7 times. So the forest owner don't get nothing about it. So they try to manage a little bit of the production areas they have, but he simply abandon the rest of the area. So what they have to do is also manage this, to see he has 40% costs extra. They he thinks to do. So he only manage the productive area. What we imposed, because ecosystem certification, because of the theory of change imposed, they have to manage all the area, eliminate alien species. We have a film that we do last week, seeing the people eliminate the alien species, and they have to promote the native species. They have to grow, otherwise they stay small and collect less carbon. So we are suggesting they have to manage the native species to come to more carbon. For tourism, is because they have to change the landscape. So in many years from now, I hope have a landscape with indigenous species, much more like to tourism. That's the main activities, changing the occupation from productive species, most of the time abandoned, to indigenous species.
Thank you. And just to continue
Susanna.
on this question, is there like a national scheme or national framework for these activities, or it's only related to this FSC certification framework?
No, there is.
What are the conditions?
Yeah, there is some national orientations for it. So because these areas are in Natura 2000, they have some orientations what species they have to promote or what they should or shouldn't do. So we based our strategy also in these kind of instruments, legal instruments, for get more biodiversity or more carbon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Benjamin. Thanks, Susanna. Tom, are you back working or no? We can't hear you still. Okay, I'll try and continue. I just have one question, and then I'm looking for hands, so I'm looking for other people to get involved. Don't leave us all hanging here. I'm sure you all have loads of questions. But anyway, my question might be a kind of a hard-hitting one in terms of, you talk about money, you talk about getting resources and using this to get resources to make your forests more resilient and to help people manage the forests that they're abandoning. Where is this money coming from? Is there grants available, or are you just certifying for the sake of certifying for the moment and hoping that money comes along afterwards?
No, I don't hope it comes along. We have a lot of budget to pay. Now for products, for wood, the national market, national industry pay more for it. To see for wood from eucalyptus and pinus, the industry pay more, 4 euros per ton. So the people are getting certified because of it, to get more money when they sell wood. From ecosystem services, we sell the strategy we used to sell ecosystem service was based in ton of carbon sequestrate. So when we sell a ton of carbon sequestrate, we also sell biodiversity and tourism. We sell the package. We don't sell only one of the ecosystem services. And the money came from it. So from the forest owners, based on that bonus that industry pay, they have to give us a budget. They pay 4, we want 1, and the other 3 they distribute between the forest owners and the contractors. And when they cut, they pay us the money they have to pay to us when we talk with them. For ecosystem services, we invest in the project, in the pilot project, we invest without any support. It's only to be forest strategy investment, but it was worked because we already have the return of it, so it's it's not so bad. And the sponsors paid for, we sell it, the sequestration of carbon in forest certified around between 10 and 30 euros per ton of CO2. So that's the way we get money, to see how can we pay to the forest owner. This value was how can I say, stated. I asked to the forest owner, how much do you want to receive? That area don't give them nothing because it don't give money. So the costs that we establish include our costs, audit costs, costs of extra management, and the renew of the forest owner that established. So we established this package, this financial package, and then we distribute for the carbon sequestrated in that area, and that's what we sell related to ecosystem services. These all have to get with money. So
Okay, so in effect, there is a fund available to pay these people, as in the pilot at the moment. There is a fund to pay these people for ecosystem services.
it's not a fund. It's we invest to collect information, and we sell the carbon sequestration. This area we are selling carbon have around 50,000, I think, tons of CO2, and we sell it. So we are getting money for the sales and to pay the costs and the expectation of revenue of the forest owner. We don't have any public support, nothing. This is only the initiative of To Be Forest and the forest owner and the municipality, with the communication and the involvement of private sponsors, all that are private sponsors that are buying this ecosystem service produced in that areas.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I see we have WIC person, Lisa. Question?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Susanna. I actually have two questions here. First of all, the forest owners, your clients,
Yeah.
how, as I understood it, they can't edit their own data, at least the vast majority of them, because they don't have the skills for it. So how often do they use your service? How often do they go in and check their management plan? How active are they in the service? And my second question is, are you the only company organization that offer this kind of service, or are there other companies as well in Portugal that offer a similar web service as you do?
Yeah. So relate to the first questions, we give to each forest owner dossier with information, a physical information to them when they came to our group. It's orange orange information they get, and they have it to really know they are certified and they have all this information there. We have informations. We send it by email, or sometimes our forest owners, our advisors talk with them when they are supporting initiatives. it's if we have some initiatives that support interventions in the native species or so on, and as our advisor know their areas, because they have to go and catch the limits of the areas, so to imagine it's quite difficult to forget the characteristics of that area that we know so well. They know more or less if is available to this kind of support initiatives, and we talk with them, and they most of the times accept to enter in these kind of initiatives, even productive or non-productive initiatives. There are, in Portugal, there are more groups of certification. There, I don't know how many, but 6 or 7, I don't know. With ecosystem services, we have more 4, I think. But most of the times, and the examples that FSC Portugal gives in their initiatives are from us, because we are really selling the ecosystem services. That's the group or the entity in Portugal that are really trying to sell this kind of initiative with a lot of communication, movies and so on. So there are more people, and you can see we have to give a big imagination to collect all these small clients, and there are clients for everybody because there are so many. So there are more people to do this, the same, but we are better, of course, but doing also the certification. Yeah.
Thank you for that, and thanks for that answer, Susanna. Is there anyone else? If there's not anyone else with a question,
Nicholas,
Tom.
Tom, finally, yeah, sorted
Very
out
good.
the sound. Just a quick question, and
Yeah.
thanks very much, Susanna, for the presentation. In terms of calculating, you mentioned calculating biomass and carbon sequestration. Is that based on the ground measurement of biomass and growth, or is it based on modelling?
Here, Jose are going in these methodologies. We are trying to do by calculation with these gross measurements. We do some inventory to collect information from the field, and also cartographic analysis. And we are using, Jose, if you want to help me, a platform that calls Invest to help us to do the calculation. And also we are working with university to ensure that we are using the best models and more adapt to Portuguese species, because there are a lack of information about it. So we are doing a lot of collecting information for give more robust information to our models and to our quantities.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Go on, Jose, yeah.
Yeah, I think Susanna said everything. We have the like 2 methodologies. One based on forest inventory and allometric equations to do the calculation of the biomass and converting to the carbon of the species in Portugal, based in biography in Portuguese data. And the other, like Susanna said, with modeling with the software called Invest, with inputs of the forest occupation, land occupations, differentiation by the species, and aggregating with species carbons or biomass based on Portuguese literature. I don't know if.
Very good, yeah. Yeah, thank you. I think that answers the question, I think. We're probably getting to close to the end here. I don't know if you want to wrap it up or not, Tom, as we've probably gone into the hour. There's one question, if you can answer it very quickly for me. and it's on FSC.
Yeah.
Okay, FSC would not be looked on very kindly by environmentalists and by Greens. I think a lot of them wouldn't agree with their certification of sustainable forest management. So they're now moving into the realm of ecosystem services, which I suppose is difficult territory. How well is that being received, having FSC as the flag bearer for this system?
Well, it's better than anything. So
Yeah.
I think
Good answer.
that we didn't have anything. We don't have nothing more. So we have to get something. It's an opportunity, and it's a good opportunity to get the information and use it in our favor and demonstrate we are really doing some work in the field. To see, we have a lot of confusions and misunderstandings with FSC and ecosystem services, but what we say to them is come to the field and see we are doing work in the with forest owners. We are working, we are getting better in that areas that have a lot of risks. We have a lot of tourism, so we need to do something. And with this kind of mechanism, we are doing so. If FSC is good or not, I really don't care. I don't sell. I don't belong to FSC, but it's a good mechanism. It's a market mechanism that gives some credibility and to the other parties. So it's very important. I think it's a good mechanism, better than don't have anything. So
Very good. I'll hand it over to you, Tom, if you want to.
Okay. So I have no further questions, and I would like to sincerely thank Susanna and Jose. And I think it was a really informative presentation today, and it clearly described the activities of 2B Forest, the challenges that are there, and a very interesting online tool, which supports management planning for forest owners.
yeah.
I know that Mark, you've asked there if the link to that video could be circulated, would be very useful as well. And I think there are, yeah, I think there are certainly learnings and lessons that we can take, and it seems like maybe it's a useful template that could be looked at maybe in other areas as well, maybe to make progress on these challenges. And in relation to the FOREXT Fridays, as Mark said, we're proposing to take a break for the summer, and our next FOREXT Friday, I think, would be around September the 29th. And a recording of this webinar will be shortly available on the FOREXT website, which is www.forext.eu. And you can also contact FOREXT through this website and for further information on the network and for communications or website related matters. And we will be in touch with you in the meantime to announce the topic of interest for the September webinar, which Mark said might be wildfires. And we would encourage you also to circulate an invitation to those who may be interested in the FOREXT Friday webinar, because we're anxious to grow participation for this online event as well. So again, thanks very much to Susanna and Jose, and hopefully you got some learnings and insights from this today, and we'll bring this webinar to a close.
Thank you a lot. I hope that was nice. Bye.
Thank you.